So I can't believe I'm saying this, but welcome to my YouTube channel. This is something I've wanted to do for the last 10 years since I first started my wildlife photography, right here in Richmond Park, so I thought it'd be the perfect setting to kick this off. And look, if you told 10-year-old me that he'd end up going to Oxford and then graduating and then starting a YouTube 3 months later, he'd probably tell you that guy's an idiot. And look, maybe it's not the smartest decision, graduating Oxford, nice degree, and not settling down and getting like a real job. But you know, here we are. I'm documenting my best attempt at chasing a dream I've had forever. Because look, if there's any chance that I'm going to be able to train my heart out, go explore the world and see some of the world's coolest wildlife, I've got to give it a crack. So right now you're probably thinking, what is it that actually made me start this channel? And to be honest, it's to correct the mistake that I've made in my wildlife photography for the last 10 years. And look, while my photos at the start are definitely not as good as the ones now, at least I hope so, there's one mistake I've been making the whole time. The one mistake I keep on making is I've only really shown you guys the end product. I've not shown you all the work that goes into it. And look, sadly, I think this is something that exists a lot in wildlife photography. Because look, credit to a lot of other wildlife photographers. They'll show you all the gear they use. They show you how they use it. They'll show you researching for the trip, telling you about the place, everything, apart from what I would argue is the biggest thing you need to prepare for when you go on an expedition. And that's getting yourself physically fit enough to get out there. Because let's face it, a lot of the wildlife I go to look for doesn't live near a car park. And look, while that might sound funny or like I'm being a bit ridiculous, if you actually think about it, a lot of the wildlife I photograph lives in the middle of nowhere. And I've always sort of taken it for granted, like it's just part of the gig, it's what I have to do, is those 3-4 hour walks, massive bag of camera gear, often in either really hot or really cold places. But I've realized that no one talks about this enough. No one shows you how much physical training has to go into making sure you're physically fit enough to go out there and explore the wild. Look, anyone who knows me knows I love Instagram with all the reels, the photos, the moments in nature, the training in the gym, everything. I think it's an amazing platform. But I think to properly tell this story, I want to show you a start to end. I want to show you me stepping into that gym, working my ass off in there, stepping out into the wild, and hopefully coming face to face with an animal I've been researching for months before it. And that's why YouTube's the perfect platform, because it's not only going to give you the end result, it's going to give you all the work I've put in leading up to it, particularly focusing on the physical side. Because look, this is something I only really came to realize last month when I went to New Zealand. Because look, this was the trip of a lifetime. I crossed the world, I saw some of the most amazing things. I visited an island that only 0.0000125% of the world will ever be lucky enough to see. But then when I realized when I went there, the night before we went to that island, they'd sat us all down and they said, look, there's different levels of difficulty on the hikes. You've got the easier one, harder one, and hardest one. And I felt so lucky in that moment to almost take it for granted and be like, I could go on any one of those, I'm gonna pick the best wildlife one. But sadly, it's not an option that everyone had out there. And I saw the sort of frustration and the regret they had of not being able to have sort of prepared better before. Because obviously everyone's got really busy lives. And that's the one thing that, like, for me, I'm lucky enough that I've really made it a really central part of my job, to train really hard so that when I'm out there, nothing is holding me back. Because in wildlife photography, little to nothing is actually in your control. Because if you think about it, let's say I plan today to go and look for deer, even in Richmond Park, a place where there's deer everywhere. I could head out, think it's going to be a really sunny day, and it starts pouring down with rain. Or the clouds will come out and I've got no light. Or let's say the deer managed to find a corner of the park to hide in that I've never been to. There's so much that's out of my control in this job. So the one thing I can't let myself down with is the thing I can sort of control. And that's the training I put into it, so that even if I do the massive hike, I get there, I'm composed, I'm ready, and the wildlife doesn't turn up, I know I gave myself the best chance. And so I thought now was the perfect time to start this. Because look, having got back from my last trip a month ago, I went straight back into training. I wasn't sure where I was gonna go yet, but I knew it was gonna be somewhere cold. So I went back into the gym, did a lot of strength training, did a lot of cardio training. I've been working hard now for a month in preparation for the trip I'm leaving on tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to Poland. I'm gonna go look for bison in the middle of nowhere. And there's a massive likelihood I don't even get to see them. But we're still gonna go and we're gonna give ourselves the best chance we get out there. And I'm lucky enough that I've managed to convince 2 of the boys to come with me. And they've both been training super hard in preparation for this, because I've told them it's basically guaranteed. We're gonna go for miles without seeing anything. It's gonna be freezing cold, and they're gonna need to bring probably some baggage with them if we're out for a long time. So a lot of work has gone into this trip and we leave tomorrow. So I thought, you know what, let's just do it. Let's go for the YouTube. Let's show the whole process. Let's show everything we do to prepare for it in those final stages up until that point where we walk into the forest. So yeah, In short, that's what this channel is. That's what it's going to show. It's not a fitness channel, but it's also not a photography channel. It's a documentation of everything I do to get myself field ready, all the hard work in the gym, all the hard work on the hike, and that final moment when I'm face to face with an animal I've been researching for months. So look, I can't believe I'm saying this, but hit that subscribe button, hit post notifications, leave a comment, let me know what you want to see when we're out there, because we're going to be posting once a week, every single week, everything we see out there, all the wildlife, the scenery, the food, the saunas, the recovery after the hikes, everything. So hit that follow button if it looks like that would interest you. And thank you so much for everyone that's supporting me this far. Thank you to everyone who's watched to the end of this video, and strap in because it's going to be a really good trip.